Donald McIntyre, investigative journalist best known for his fearless work confronting dangerous criminal organisations, is on a mission to uncover the modern face of international crime. Travelling with him to some of the world's best-known cities, we'll meet members of the criminal underworld, police and local residents to discover what life is really like in the world's toughest towns. Donald's in a city on the edge.
Do you guys carry guns?
Somewhere where conflict can erupt without warning. A place where violent crime is nearly 3 times the national average.
It seems very heavy-handed.
And where anyone can get caught in the mayhem.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Donald's in Paris to find out why it's one of the world's toughest towns. This is Paris, one of the world's most loved cities, home to the Eiffel Tower and 11 million people. The French capital is a popular place for visitors who are lured by its culture, cuisine and romance. But there's something you won't find in the visitor's guides. Beneath the affable chic, Paris is riven with civil unrest. In the last few years, this city has been dogged by riots. 2 warring factions struggle to prevail. On one side, second-generation immigrants who feel they're the victims of discrimination. And on the other, the forces of law and order, led by President Nicolas Sarkozy.
Ça ne peut pas rester impuni.
Civil unrest has exploded here twice in the past 4 years. In 2005, 10,000 cars were set alight, and in 2007, 30 police officers were injured on the streets. Donald's come to Paris to find out why riots are tearing it apart. He'll see the conflict from both sides.
Et en fait, ça devient une espèce de jeu de dominance dans la rue.
On passe de revendication à un effet plus sporadique.
And he'll meet someone who many believe is hell-bent on turning the riots into an all-out race war.
Vous battez contre un système prédateur, un système raciste.
Donald's at the Gare du Nord train station in the heart of the city. The rich and poor are geographically separated in Paris. Inner city Paris is middle class and affluent, whereas the less visible suburbs on the outskirts of the city are poor, deprived neighbourhoods housing some 8 million less fortunate Parisians. The Gare du Nord station is where these worlds collide. In 2007, it was a scene of intense rioting. Donald arranged to go out on patrol with the police around the Gare du Nord, many of whom were involved in the conflict in 2007.
What is your plan today? What is your route and plan?
Donc on va patrouiller dans la gare du Nord. Vous verrez, c'est très grand, c'est un complexe qui est très grand. Donc déjà on va patrouiller dans la gare et si on a l'occasion, effectuer des contrôles.
The Gare du Nord is Europe's largest train station. Security is taken seriously here. There are 100 armed police officers, 600 surveillance cameras, and army reinforcements are on permanent alert. It's a lot to take in.
No idea what's happening, but I've never seen so many police officers, but it seems very heavy-handed.
police are carrying out some random checks. Now, under French law, ID papers must always be carried and can be checked at any time.
Parfait. Donc beaucoup de policiers parce que la foule, l'interpellation s'est mal passée et la foule s'est regroupée autour des effectifs de police qui étaient en civil. Donc des renforts ont été déployés.
It was an approach like this that started the riots in 2007. When passengers coming from the suburbs felt they were unfairly targeted by police. Back then, terrified visitors and rush hour passengers were caught in the mayhem as rioters went on a rampage of burning and looting throughout the station. The threat from some of the suburbs' more militant factions has made some areas of Paris feel like no-go areas.
You're still in Paris, it's a nice city, but you don't want to roam in bad quarters. Everything can happen, and usually I think that the people who are doing bad stuff in Paris are not from Paris themselves, they're coming from the suburbs.
Civil unrest has divided this city, and there's a feeling of fear and mistrust on both sides. In modern-day Paris, the motto liberty, equality and fraternity no longer applies. Paris, the cultural capital of Europe, but also a city in flux with a huge police presence. Some argue that aggressive policing of this town caused violent clashes in the heart of the city. Donald's seen for himself some of the questionable police tactics thought to have provoked the civil disturbance. And now he's heard about a sinister figure who is preaching hatred all over the city. Donald knows that if he's to get to the root of the problems in Paris, he must find out more about the suburbs. Known as the Banlieue, Paris' suburbs are renowned throughout France as a hotbed for civil unrest. But they became infamous throughout the world in 2005 for riots which lasted for over 30 days. It was the first time France's social unrest was exposed to the world, and its impact on Paris has been profound.
In 2005, there's been this riots, which scared many people in France. But it is not in Paris, in the center of Paris, it's in the suburbs.
Since then, the local Parisians are afraid to go near some of these areas.
In the transports, usually in the area, a lot of people, just general public, were attacked, assaulted for no reason.
When I have troubles also is when I take the train to go back home in my suburb at night. When I take the last train, all the people from the suburbs are taking the last train as well, and if they want to make a little bit of money, they can take it from you. Even myself, the way I'm dressed, I'm not like really rich or anything. I was afraid to lose my mobile. I felt completely like they could punch me in the face. It happened before to me.
Donald's meeting journalist Anthony Headley, who has been reporting on the escalating trouble in the Banlieue. Donald's hoping he can explain why people in these neighbourhoods are so angry.
They're not immigrants. They're the sons of the immigrants. They're more French than the French today, except their color of skin is not white, and therefore they're excluded.
Riots are not new to Paris. In 1968, over 800,000 students, teachers and workers marched through the French capital. They clashed with police and demanded the fall of the Charles de Gaulle government. The riots of '68 are seen as heroic and defined a decade. They changed France forever and helped create a more liberal society. But the riots of this decade have been largely ignored.
You either have a situation of riots, or you have a situation nobody speaks about the Banlieue, because nobody wants to hear about it. It's like, it's over there, we never go there, we don't want to see these guys, let's not deal with this issue.
Ignoring the situation for so long has only made matters worse, as now the rioting is beginning to creep into the centre.
It's a new development that what's happening in the suburbs comes into the center of Paris. A lot of people do feel afraid.
Donald's heard of an inner city area where this is already the case. He wants to see for himself how far the problems have spread here before he visits the suburbs. A contact has set up a meeting for him. Only 2 miles away from some of Paris's most famous landmarks, the 18th arrondissement is an economically deprived area beset by problems. It's a place where middle-class Parisians fear to go. Donald's meeting with 2 local criminals who don't want to be identified to try and find out more about crime in this area. Here, any stranger is seen as a legitimate target.
Une caméra. Oh, c'est des petits qui vont lui voler, mais sinon ceux qui vendent ou ils vont rien faire du tout. Par exemple, si tu passes à rue Mira en voiture, ils prennent ta voiture normal. Carjacking.
Carjacking? Yeah. It's common, normal?
Non, c'est pas vraiment commun, mais c'est normal.
Donald finds out that these 2 men are also drug dealers.
On vend du crack et du shit, mais le crack ça marche mieux. On fait plus d'argent avec le crack. Maximum 2000 € par jour. 2000 € par jour.
Do you carry knives?
Ouais, des fois. Mais quand on a une arme, c'est pour tuer quelqu'un. La plupart du temps, ceux qui ont des armes, c'est ceux qui ont des problèmes à cause de la drogue. Ils vendent dans un territoire ou un autre.
Il y a plein de gens qui doivent avoir des armes.
Ouais, tout le monde a des armes.
And how would you defend your territory if you come back and somebody's on your street corner?
La plupart du temps, ça se tire dessus.
Is this votre vie? C'est bon?
C'est la merde. C'est pourri, mais c'est comme ça. On s'y fait, on est habitué. Normal.
And if this is what the disaffected youth in the centre are feeling, it makes Donald wonder what the young people cut off from Parisian society out in the Banlieue think about their situation. Donald will be heading off there tomorrow to find out. Donald spotted an article in the newspaper that's added to his concerns about going to the Banlieue. It's a story about a Hollywood production starring John Travolta that paid a high price for using the suburbs as a gritty backdrop for their film.
Torched production vehicles, thousands and thousands of pounds worth of damage. The film is called From Paris with Love, but this is from the Banlieue with Love and the media. Welcome to town, we're going to burn out your production vehicles.
To better understand the grievances of people in the Banlieue, Donald's finally on his way to a housing project called Le Bosquet. It's 17 kilometres from the centre of Paris, and it's where the worst of the rioting took place in 2005. The riots started when 2 teenagers were electrocuted whilst being chased by police. The deaths caused outrage and sparked the most violent riots in a generation. The riots in Le Bosquet lasted for 20 days and then began to spread across the rest of France. The government took it so seriously that a state of emergency was declared. During that time, over 100 police officers were injured and nearly 3,000 people were arrested. It cost the French taxpayer over €200 million. Donald's been put in touch with someone called Sid, who we've been told is one of the neighbourhood heavies. Zid says he can guarantee Donald's safety whilst filming.
We're all, except for the crew, just a little apprehensive because this is a very dodgy and dangerous area, and particularly for strangers, and it's incredibly poor. We've been warned about our safety, but I'm about to meet a guy who assures me that he'll personally take us under his wing and look after us because he's connected.
The Bosquet doesn't look anything like the Paris Donald's been in so far. Fortunately, it's not too long before he's met by his contact Zid, who's going to be our guide.
va passer comme ça?
Yeah, sure. Look, I can't imagine this is a France, a Paris that many people can imagine.
Il n'y a pas de tour Eiffel. La tour Eiffel en haut du bâtiment, là, pendant la nuit, on la voit. Elle est tout au bout là-bas.
Oui.
C'est tout. Et c'est loin de tout ça.
Zed tells Donald that before we start filming, it's important to lay down some ground rules for the safety of the crew.
Il y a des endroits vraiment, faut pas filmer. Vous allez voir, de toute façon, les cris vont partir et puis baisse la caméra, tout ça, faudra pas filmer.
But before Zed can show Donald around, he gets a lesson in how the French authorities police these tough neighbourhoods.
On va couper la caméra comme je vous avais dit.
With their guns drawn, the police start to search Zed and his friends.
Monsieur, vous pouvez tourner la caméra?
Ils cherchent la merde, ils provoquent, ils nous insultent, ils nous manquent de respect.
Ils profitent de leur autorité. Moi, quand j'étais petit, hein, bien sûr, ils m'ont déjà mis des claques et tout, c'est clair. Ils m'ont déjà insulté de sales blagues, sales noirs. Et bien sûr, ils m'ont déjà traité et tout.
It's this kind of antagonism between the police and the residents of the Banlieue that sparked the riots of 2005. This is video footage shot by Zed and his friends of them in action during the riot. Anarchy swept through Le Bosquet as images of Paris in flames were broadcast around the world.
Ici, là, cette rue, c'est la rue principale des émeutes. Les Syriens, ils étaient là-bas, en face, là, au bout de cette rue. Et nous, on était là, sur cette rue. C'est pour ça, là, il y a même les pierres ils sont là, les pierres. Les pierres, ils sont là, et c'est avec ça on se défend.
Riots happen here on a regular basis, sometimes up to twice a week. But only the major ones like those of 2005 are widely reported.
À n'importe quel moment, ça peut partir. À n'importe quel moment, une petite course-poursuite, ça finit mal. Non. Comme ça. Les gens veulent leur jeter des pierres. Vous savez, qu'on a déjà vécu.
The majority of residents in the poorer Banlieues are Muslims of North African origin. Their mistrust of French society began during Algeria's War of Independence from France, in which the French were notorious for their use of torture and brutality.
And for the first time in the long and bloody fight with nationalist Arab forces, Frenchman has taken up arms against Frenchman.
Algeria finally won independence in 1962, but prejudice against Muslims in modern-day France is still evident. Zed says that the police are not welcome here and shows Dono some of the graffiti in the neighbourhood that spells out what he and everyone else from Le Bosquet really think about the authorities.
Ici, c'est la phrase magique, nique la police, c'est la phrase magique. Partout, il y a marqué fuck police, nique la police. Pourquoi? Parce que ils nous aiment pas. C'est réciproque. Ah ouais. Un gros fuck police. Fuck CRS. CRS, c'est la police qui, quand il y a les émeutes.
Donald's been in the neighbourhood for a while and hasn't felt threatened. But suddenly, things become very tense.
Si toi va vers là-bas, on va filmer pas le grand là-bas là. Bide-le pas le grand. Ah, de dire bouge, c'est toi t'as ouf. C'est toi t'as ouf. Garde la pêche. Et écoute, je t'ai dit, te filme pas, garde la pêche. Bah vas-y, arrête de me parler comme ça, cousin. Dis tranquillement, y a pas de problème. Je lui dis déjà, il y a des gens. Comment tu parles? Bouge. T'es un fou, toi, en plus, bouge. Tu crois que je suis un bouffon ou quoi? Tu me dis bouge, vas-y, casse-toi, je bouge pas, je reste là.
Viens pas avec lui.
Parle-moi bien, dis-moi le bien, y a pas de problème. Y a des autres choses, pas vous se faire filmer. Dis-moi pas bouge, mon frère. Tu me dis bouge, mon frère. T'es un peu toi, Dev. Reste tranquille, Dev, mon frère. Les poulies, mon frère. Jamais je te manquais de respect, mon frère. Tu m'as manqué de respect plusieurs fois en parlant. Jamais je te manquais de respect. Reste tranquille, cousin. Ah ouais, hey. Laisse la caméra filmer, hein. Si je vous ai dit, ça c'est le truc de la vie, tous les jours. Tous les jours à des prises de tête parce que c'est la galère.
Zed leaves Donald in no doubt what would have happened to us as a TV crew if he hadn't been around.
Les gens sont prêts à t'embrouiller même. Je vous jure, vous serez tout seul là, les journalistes, vous serez venus tout seul. Hein? Je vous dis la vérité.
Then he takes him to a spot where unwelcome visitors are taken.
Vous voyez ici là. Il y a trop d'histoires qui sont réglées dans cette cave. Plusieurs caves comme ça, mais surtout cette cave. Parce que là, on vient de l'escalier, c'est dire quand il y a des histoires qui se passent mal, elles seraient ici. Quand il y a des inconnus, ils seraient ici. Je dis la vérité. Et voilà, combien d'histoires il y a eu. Combien d'histoires, je ne vais pas vous faire montrer, ça se trouve, il y a même une trace de sang là. Mais ça sert à rien. Clair.
Okay, we'll stay close to my side now.
Yeah.
Stay close. When the riots were on, people used the phrase civil war. Do you think there is one simmering underneath Paris at the moment?
C'est la rage qui est à l'intérieur des gens. Les gens, ils ont la rage. La police, ils sont arrivés jusqu'à mettre la rage dans le cœur des gens. Avec le contrôle répétitif, avec la pression qu'ils mettent. Hein? À chaque fois, il y aura un événement, on pourra se venger sur la police, les gens ils vont venir. C'est clair.
I can't believe that this is the Paris that I grew up with. Of course, it's an hour's drive from the city centre, which we all know so well. But this is it for so many. This is their home. This is their city.
Donald's seen enough of Le Bosquet. Walking back to his car, he's reminded of how vulnerable he really is.
Oh, I'm going to be really fucked off now. This came under protection.
Ah, Bosquet, hein.
This came under protection. Camera's gone.
On est resté trop longtemps là-bas. Là-bas, on est resté trop longtemps. Les chacals là.
But this came with your protection.
His expensive camera and laptop have been stolen.
It's dead. C'est mort.
Oh, for fuck's sake. We're just fucking stupid to do it. Stupid.
Donald wonders how Zid feels about having his authority undermined.
Vous serez sous ma protection là. Hein? Or des jeunes là, ils vous ont pas touché. Déjà là, ils sauront qu'à la moi cette voiture, ils l'ont jamais touché. Les gens qui ont fait ça, c'est pas moi. Ils savent, c'est Aziz, ils ont pas fait ça.
But this is your nation, this is your
Ma
territory.
protection, elle est là. Depuis tout à l'heure, vous êtes là, personne ne vous a touché. Désolé.
Look at ça.
Mais c'est les bosquets.
With little hope of ever seeing his camera again, it's time to head back to the centre of Paris. They play by their own rules in the Banlieue. And even though Zid is one of the top boys, it's obvious that he can't control all the angry young men in his neighbourhood. Donald's in Paris to investigate why it's one of the world's toughest towns. He's already seen how poverty and hatred for the police is fueling civil unrest in the outer suburbs. And he's even become one of the city's crime statistics, having had his camera stolen in Le Bosquet.
This came under protection.
Les chacals là.
Zid had promised to protect Donald, but in the end he couldn't deliver. After Donald's experience, he's relieved to be heading back to the comfortable familiarity of the city centre. He thought he'd never see it again, but apparently his camera has been turned in.
I'm on the way to the police station, just up here, to retrieve the camera, which unexpectedly turned up after it was nicked from the car.
The police tell Donald they found his camera left by the road on the same spot it had been stolen. Whether the thieves had a change of heart or Zid pulled some strings, Donald will never know. But it shows that not everything in Le Bosquet is what it seems. Today, Zed and his friends are travelling into the streets of central Paris, where they say they still feel unwelcome. Here, their sense of alienation from French society feels even more pronounced.
Bon, voilà, à Paris, c'est un autre truc à Paris. Hein. C'est un autre monde. L'hiver, c'est pas du tout la même. Ici.
Ils demandent de l'argent.
Exact, et puis voilà quoi. Il y a des endroits à Paris, ils sont interdits pour nous. À Champs-Élysées, hein, Tour Eiffel, tous ces quartiers-là, c'est pas du tout pour nous. Par exemple, si on essaie d'aller sur les Champs-Élysées, hein, pour se faire une soirée, on dit on va rentrer en boîte de nuit, c'est impossible. Ils vont jamais nous faire rentrer. Parce qu'ils croient qu'on est des délinquants, ils généralisent tout le monde. Hein, ils croient que tous les mecs de banlieue, tous les jeunes de banlieue, c'est tous des délinquants.
The Champs-Élysées is the most expensive strip of real estate in Europe, and a place where the divisions between class and race in Paris are all too evident.
Ben voilà.
Les Champs-Élysées.
Là, c'est les Champs-Élysées. L'avenue la plus belle du monde. Là, vraiment, Paris, on voit que c'est beau, c'est propre, hein, c'est la belle ville. Hein, mais la banlieue, c'est pas du tout la même. Hein, ils vont aller au bosquet, ils vont voir la misère, ils vont voir la saleté. Ils ne vont pas s'adapter. Ils ont l'habitude de venir là, de vivre dans le luxe.
C'est la voiture de mes rêves, quoi. La voiture de mes rêves que je vais sûrement jamais avoir. C'est ça que tu représentes. Ah, il y a la police, trop tard. Fin du spectacle.
Ah, c'est fini.
Rien à voir, j'ai rien dedans. Bah voilà, bah c'est la fin du show. Parce qu'ils ont vu aussi en même temps, c'est des jeunes blacks, tout ça, des jeunes de banlieue. C'est normal, ils stoppent.
Every action by the police, no matter how routine or harmless, can be interpreted by disillusioned young men like Sid as being racially motivated. Donald has heard one side of the story through Sid and his friends, but is curious to hear from the other side. Donald's feeling that policing parts of this city is a thankless, risky business. Donald's meeting with former riot cop Marc Boutin, who's worked on the front line. For the last 20 years, he has seen Paris become tougher and tougher.
Les jeunes, the young from the Banlieue, say that the police are racist, they're oppressive, they're violent, and that's why this conflict. What's your view on that?
Il y a une politique de l'immigration qui est décidée par le gouvernement actuel et qui conduit les policiers à contrôler les gens systématiquement qui sont arabes, d'origine africaine ou juste de couleur de peau différente. Parce que là, c'est très intrusif pour les gens. Un policier ne peut pas dire « moi, j'ai pas envie de faire ça » parce que le policier, il fait exactement ce qu'on lui dit.
Is it true that parts of the Banlieue appear to be a no-go zone, a no-go area for the police?
C'est le problème qu'il y a maintenant. Parce que les jeunes policiers viennent en priorité de province et se retrouvent lâchés en première affectation, souvent dans des quartiers sur lesquels il y a un énorme décalage entre eux, leur vie, leur expérience, et d'un seul coup, ils deviennent adultes dans un monde qui est beaucoup plus violent, beaucoup plus physique. Et en fait, tout le monde a peur. Et une des compensations de la peur, c'est justement de devenir soit violent, soit arrogant avec les gens, parce que c'est une manière de compenser.
If the rookie cops are going in there scared, terrified of the dangers, inevitably the people in the Banlieue decide, okay, they'll react. So by being aggressive and nervous, you create your own reaction.
Et en fait, ça devient une espèce de jeu de dominance. Dans la rue, la loi, c'est celle du plus fort. Et ça, les gamins des banlieues qui sont des voyous le savent pertinemment.
It's becoming clear why Paris has become such a tough town. The police in the disaffected communities from the Banlieue are trapped in perpetual and seemingly unresolvable conflict. Neither side can be seen to back down and risk showing signs of weakness. It's a turbulent situation and one which is easy to exploit. Donald's heard of people who are using it to achieve their own questionable aims. Kemi Seba is a charismatic leader of a black militant group. He preaches racial solidarity amongst black and Muslim people in France, as well as violent opposition towards Israel and Zionism.
Dire que vous vous battez contre un système prédateur, un système raciste, et oblitérer la thématique de l'occupant et du système sioniste.
He's recently served time in prison for his role in a violent attack on a Jewish neighbourhood. This footage shows Kemi and his supporters burning an Israeli flag. Kemi's ideas have caused outrage in France, and he is now facing more time behind bars on fresh charges of inciting racial hatred. If found guilty, he could face another 6 months in prison. The latest charges of anti-Semitism have been brought by the Union of Jewish French Students.
Kemi Seba présente une menace d'abord par rapport à ce qu'il fait. Il insuffle, notamment sur Internet, par un travail dans les quartiers. Il cultive une haine, et notamment à la haine des Juifs.
The worry amongst Parisians is that Kemi's extreme ideas are inciting conflict on the streets of Paris. His preachings have already been linked to hate crime in the capital. In January 2006, a young Jewish man named Ilan Halimi was kidnapped in central Paris and driven out to the suburbs. He was imprisoned in a flat in the Banlieue where he was starved and tortured. Halimi was found tied and handcuffed to a tree 3 weeks later. His body was covered with stab wounds and burns from acid and other flammable liquids. He died on his way to hospital. Residents of the estate had heard his screams and the laughter of those torturing him.
C'est un crime crapuleux et aussi antisémite. Je me dis qu'il n'a pas pu endurer pendant 3 semaines toutes ces horreurs. C'est pas possible. Ce ne sont pas des êtres humains, ce sont des monstres.
Eventually, 15 youths from the Banlieue were arrested. They were members of a loose gang of desperados who share a hatred of Jewish people.
Je crois n'en pas douter que Kemi Seba a une influence par rapport à l'enlèvement et à la torture et l'assassinat d'Ilan Halimi, puisque le discours qu'il véhicule, un discours de haine, a été ensuite, dans une certaine mesure, repris par les auteurs.
Ilan Halimi's murder is just one of many racially motivated attacks within the French capital. Kemi Seba's influence does seem to be growing, and his followers are bringing new problems into the centre of Paris. After numerous phone calls and conversations with his lawyer, Kemi has agreed to meet with Donald. He rarely gives interviews, but has agreed to talk to Donald on the basis that Donald belongs to the foreign media. He believes the local media are biased against him and his cause.
I'm a bit nervous. I'm about to meet Kemi Seba. Now, he hates whites and he hates journalists only a little bit more than he hates whites. He's about to face trial and sentencing probably tomorrow for incitement to violence and anti-Semitic behaviour. I'm going to meet him. I'm delighted he's going to meet me, and I have no idea what's going to happen. There he is. Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Kemi Seba is rarely seen in public without a large gang of henchmen.
Irish? Irish, yeah.
He tells Donald that it all started for him after a trip to America.
J'ai été 3 semaines aux États-Unis lorsque j'étais plus jeune, et durant cette période, during this time, I met the Nation of Islam.
Now, brothers, there's a social benefit
The Nation of Islam is an American power group that preaches a message of black supremacy. The organisation has had famous members such as Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
It was a beginning for me in my work. Because for me, my fight is my work, is my destiny, is my life.
Since Kemi's message appeals to the angry youths from the Banlieue, Donald wonders what his views are on the riots.
Les jeunes commencent à se prendre en charge. Les jeunes noirs, les jeunes arabes et d'autres minorités commencent à se prendre en charge. Commencent à comprendre que la police n'est pas là pour les protéger, contrairement à ce qu'on a voulu me faire croire pendant un certain temps, mais beaucoup de policiers sont là pour leur causer des problèmes.
Kemi explains that the people in his movement are the same kinds of people as those that took part in the riots. They are poor and angry young people from the suburbs.
Is it essential for change to have it accompanied by violence?
La paix si possible, la violence quand c'est nécessaire. La violence est nécessaire quand on vous la pose pendant des siècles et des siècles. Dans une démarche, non pas de débattre avec l'ennemi, mais dans une démarche d'abattre l'ennemi. De l'abattre sur le terrain de la vérité en le disqualifiant.
Donald's encounter with Kemi Seba is discomfiting. His words have power over the city's disaffected youth, and he may well have manipulated those who clashed with the authorities. More than this, his message may have influenced one of the most brutal, racially motivated murders in recent history. His influence in Paris is frightening. Donald's in Paris, a city at odds with itself. He's met a radical leader who's trying to marshal young rioters into a deadly force. And he's been to the notorious suburbs of Paris, where he's had his car broken into and his video camera stolen.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Camera's gone.
Donald's found that other riots in French history were a force of change, but that the riots of the 21st century have changed nothing. Residents in the suburbs have burned down their own communities, but all that they've achieved is increased notoriety for the neighbourhood and a spot on the evening news. Before Donald leaves Paris, he's visiting Grigny, 22 kilometres south of the city centre. He's meeting one of the locals who's trying to foster a more positive attitude amongst the disaffected youth. Grigny feels like a ghost town, eerie and deserted. Here's the same neighbourhood in the middle of a full-scale riot. Donald's meeting a man called Kuda, who was once at the forefront of the riots, but he's had a change of heart and now feels that riots are getting his people nowhere.
Ça, les émeutes, on va dire plus les affrontements se sont dégradés. On passe de revendication à un effet plus sporadique. Ce qui se passe, c'est que les plus petits, ça leur a donné envie de voir parce que c'était excitant de voir des choses réelles. On va dire, c'est vrai qu'à la télé, on peut voir des explosions, des arrestations, mais le fait de le voir, c'est vrai que c'est excitant.
Kuda told Donald that some young people involved in riots here had lost sight of what they were fighting for and were caught up in a frenzy of mindless violence.
In all this rioting, who actually wins? Did les gens from Grigny, did they win? Did they have a victory?
Non, ils gagnent pas, non, ils gagnent pas. À Grigny, les gens ne gagnent jamais. Pourquoi? Parce que ça peut être des jeunes ou d'autres personnes, lorsqu'ils se mobilisent pour affronter les policiers, ils cassent tout autour d'eux. En voulant affronter les policiers. Donc ce qui se passe, c'est que les personnes qui habitent ici, c'est eux qui payent les réparations.
Donald's time in Paris is coming to an end, but he's eager to hear the result of Kemi Seba's court case. Donald met Kemi just before he was charged with inciting racial hatred, and he's keen to find out whether Kemi will end up behind bars again.
Kemi Seba's not for the first time facing court charges again for anti-Semitism. The establishment are very keen to put him inside. So he's in today, more charges. He's facing a judge just up here in the Palais de Justice, and just remains to be seen whether he's going to be kept inside.
Throughout the trial, Kemi's loyal band of followers have waited in the lobby. Eventually their leader emerges. He has received a 6-month suspended sentence but remains as defiant as ever.
Et d'autre part, qu'ils sachent que s'ils veulent bâillonner une parole, il faut qu'ils sachent qu'il y a des gens qui sont bien pires que moi dehors.
Et la rue, là, la rue observe. La rue est en train de regarder le 2 poids 2 mesures. C'est ce 2 poids 2 mesures qui, à un moment donné, posera des problèmes à la communauté juive.
C'est une guerre mondiale, il risque d'avoir une guerre intérieure aussi dans ce pays parce que on est tous prêts. Si ça tire sur l'Iran ou l'Afghanistan, je peux vous assurer que ça tirera sur les commissariats de police aussi. Ça je vous le dis. Ça je vous le dis.
Pas que un seul Kemi Seba, il y a des milliers de Kemi Seba, c'est
Qui le savent.
À mort Israël! À mort Israël! Bande de chiens!
Kemi Seba has a loyal band of followers in this city, but it's clear that his preaching is not about peace to all men. For the time being, he is a free man with the freedom to spread his particular brand of hatred on the streets of Paris. During his visit, Donald's seen 2 different sides to Paris. The picture postcard city of romance and the troubled and turbulent outskirts.
Ils ont beau faire les choses, mais il n'y a rien du tout qui va changer. Le mal, ça y est, il est déjà installé ici au Bosquet.
Those in the suburbs continue to be vulnerable to those with extreme agendas. It's predicted that the riots will not only continue, but spread into the centre of this great city. Until things change radically, Paris will remain one of the world's toughest towns.